Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
Right now, thank goodness, traffic is flowing on 526. There are still, though, many unanswered questions about what caused that tarp on the Don Holt Bridge to fall down yesterday, trapping 12 people for several hours. But our news team is working right now to get you more answers and to find out what's next. But first, a strong storm moving through parts of the Low Country right now. Our chief meteorologist, Bill Walsh, in the First Alert Weather Center. Bill, we're getting reports of hail with this storm.
Yeah, in fact, our First Alert Super Doppler Max has picked up some of that hail. We're going to continue to look at that very, very carefully. We gave you the first alert to the storm just a little while ago. We tweeted it out, and we also put it on our app, and you can see what it looks like right here. Hollywood, back on over toward, as you make your way over toward Red Top. Pretty good shower, actually a pretty good thunderstorm right there. We can take you right down to the street level, right down to your block to show you what's going to happen. And again, this storm isn't moving much. It's kind of backing south a little bit, but as you look down 162, back over to 165, again, we're looking at some moderate to heavy rainfall, and that includes places like Stono Ferry, all the way down toward Dixie Plantation Road, and right down 165, so be on the lookout for that, and a lot of lightning with this. Let me push out, and again, you can see this is over the last half hour or so. We're looking at about 25 lightning strikes. That's a live lightning strike right there. You can see it live, and if you have the app, it'll tell you lightning is within a couple of miles of you, so that's good if you're going to take a walk with the dog, go out with the kids, or whatnot. It's a good app. But elsewhere, everything else is just hot and sunny. So we're not looking at much activity, maybe a little bit up in toward Berkeley County, northern Charleston County. So don't rule out, again, a pop-up this afternoon, which, you know, we'll continue to kind of monitor right here. So bottom line, just an isolated evening storm out there or two. Hot stretch ahead. That's going to be the big weather story as we head into the weekend, and the low rain chance will continue this weekend. So it looks to be hotter but drier. We'll continue to watch that right here and online and on the app in your First Alert Weather Center, Bill.
All right, Bill, thanks so much. Right now, a live look at the Don Holt Bridge where all that trouble was yesterday. Look at this, traffic moving well after that complete shut down for nearly 12 hours that started about 5 yesterday afternoon. Our team coverage continues now with Karina Bolster. Karina, we've learned a man called 911 worried about the tarp falling down 3 days before it actually happened.
Bill, that caller described almost exactly what happened here yesterday to a Charleston County dispatcher Sunday afternoon, foreshadowing the potential dangers of the tarp you see right there on the Don Holt Bridge. Now take a look at this video. This is the scene from yesterday afternoon where a spokesman for SCDOT says approximately 7 cars were trapped underneath the large canvas. At this time, there's no word as to how the tarp and the cables came crashing down on drivers during rush hour, but SCDOT says an investigation will get underway soon. Now, as I mentioned, Charleston County Dispatch received at least 1 call Sunday regarding concerns on this project. Take a listen.
The Don Holt Bridge, where they have covered it up. I guess they're going to be painting it. The top cover is flapping. And the canvas, a huge canvas, that thing could come completely loose and hit cars and cause havoc and live loss.
Now, thankfully, there were no reported injuries during this accident, but we do know that one woman was taken to the hospital for a reported panic attack while she was being rescued. Now, I did reach out to multiple agencies to find out if they responded to the bridge following these initial calls of concern Sunday afternoon. I'll have more on that ahead. Live at Riverfront Park in North Charleston, Karina Bolster, Live 5 News.
All right, Karina, thank you. This is what that tarp on the Don Holt looked like before the collapse, almost like a kind of tunnel, as you see here. If you look right now, you can see part of that tarp remains in place. The westbound lanes opened back up at 7:10 this morning, more than 12 hours after the tarp first came down. Crews worked throughout the night and into the morning to remove the collapsed netting, and all lanes on the Don Holt Bridge were reopened by about 10 o'clock this morning. Brad Stryker joins us now with more on what crews plan to do with the piece that remains and why it was there in the first place.
Both the eastbound and the westbound lanes are finally open, and so Charleston drivers are definitely rejoicing. Let me give you a look at what is still on that bridge, though. Take a look behind me. You can actually still see the tarp that was the tarp that came down on top of cars during rush hour traffic last night. Now, we have spoken to a representative from the South Carolina Department of Transportation. He tells us that crews are currently working on trying to figure out how exactly and when exactly they're going to be able to take that tarp down. So they do have plans to remove the rest of the tarp, but they are still trying to figure out how and when that's going to happen. Now, the tarp was originally put up there because crews are working on a massive paint project that's going to be aiming to really kind of add some paint to that bridge, and so the tarp was put in place so that they would be able to prevent paint cans as well as paint from falling on passing by cars. We are going to be continuing to follow this story as we begin to learn more about the tarp and more details surrounding the accident, so be sure to stay tuned with Live 5. But for now, in Hendricks Park, I'm Brad Stryker, Live 5 News.
Good job, Brad. Thank you. This video shows some of the 12-hour effort to remove debris from the roadway. Aaron Maben has more on how crews cleaned up the mess to get that bridge back open.
If you look over my shoulder, you can see cars are having no problem getting on 526. Crews worked through the night to get things back open.
We have been working all night to clean it up.
We were there as crews cleaned this dangling debris from the Don Holt Bridge this morning.
Of course, we had a failure with the system that was in place to catch the debris coming off from a painting project that we had going on the Holt Bridge.
SCDOT spokesperson James Law says it was an enormous undertaking to carefully clear out pieces of fallen tarp, heavy metal netting, and steel cables. On the ground, we saw crews picking up pieces of twisted, torn tarp, loading it onto this 18-wheeler. A team lifted in this bucket truck to take down more potentially dangerous debris.
The engineers have made the decision that we're going to leave the outer parts that you can see still hanging there in place, tie everything up, and get the bridge back open.
After a nearly 17-hour shutdown, these cars and semis no longer forced to detour. It's a relief on the road. Reporting on North Red Avenue, Aaron Maben, Live 5 News.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Our team coverage continues now with Alexis Simmons. Alexis, we're hearing now for the first time some of the 911 calls from people trapped underneath that tarp. What have we learned from them?
Well, Bill, we received 17 911 calls from Charleston County, giving us a listen at how people were feeling just moments after that tarp fell on their cars. Many of them that I talked to or that I listened to, they were trapped in their car under that tarp, and they also had broken windshields. But if you take a look behind me here, you can get a view of what the bridge looks like at this point. Now, the part of the 911 call you're about to listen to is from a man that got caught under that netting as he was driving over the Don Holt Bridge.
I'm on the Don Holt Bridge in my car.
Are you going eastbound towards Mount Pleasant or westbound towards North Charleston?
Westbound.
Okay, sir, tell me exactly what happened.
There's I don't know if it's nylon or cloth covering with netting.
The netting that came loose?
Yeah, and it fell on my car. The windshield is cracked. I can't see anything behind me.
And you could hear the panic in his voice as he was trying to remain calm while talking to that operator, which that operator instructed him to just take a deep breath. But I did find out from people who were trapped that they were in their car for over an hour before the emergency crews were able to get them out. And one of the hardest parts, they told me, was actually cutting those cables. So there was cables that were wrapped in that netting that was holding that netting in place. And when they came down, that also hit those cars, causing even more breakage. And of course, having to cut those cables that someone showed me was probably about this thick was definitely a hard job for those emergency responders, but they were all thankful, of course, to be able to get out safe. I'm live here in North Charleston, and I'll have more from those 911 calls coming up on Live 5 News at 5 o'clock. Back to you all in the studio.
Alexis, thanks so much. We're continuing, folks, to follow the latest developments on what happens now with the Don Holt Bridge and the people who were stuck underneath that tarp. Can you imagine net for hours in some cases. Our team coverage will continue at 5. In the meantime, for the latest updates on this and all your local stories, make sure to follow live5news.com, live5news.com, and the Live 5 News team on Twitter. Our web team and reporters are always posting the latest information as it comes out to make sure you get it first. You know, things like what happened on the Don Holt are unpredictable. So we're on your side with tips on some items you need to keep in your car so you're always prepared. The DMV says you should keep drinking water and non-perishable snacks. Also, a flashlight and extra batteries. Keep a first aid kit in the car, too, along with a fire extinguisher. The full list on our website, live5news.com, and when you get there, just click on the big red box. The Don Holt has been open for about 6 hours now. Let's get a check of how that area and the rest of the low country are shaping up weather-wise and in terms of traffic. Jordan Wilkerson in the First Alert Traffic Center right now. Jordan, how's it looking with the traffic?
Oh, things are so much better than this time yesterday. We're seeing a lot less traffic on the Don Holt Bridge, and earlier they were mentioning that there is still some tarp on there, and you can see it. We have a good image of that here, but the rest of it does look to be cleared. They're not, I guess, worried about that area there. So we'll continue to track that situation for you, but all is looking good on the Don Holt Bridge.